everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to do a review on a 2019 Yamaha Grizzly. I bought this thing in July of 2019, so we're getting close to 2 years. And I'm coming from Honda. I'm a big Honda guy. I'm not scared to buy a Yamaha or a Suzuki, and so far this has been everything I've wanted it to be and more. This is the Yamaha box that you can buy for the machine. It's really nice because it only takes 2 bolts. Well, I think there was 1 bolt here, 1 here, so you got 4 bolts total. Locks on, and you can actually fit a lot of gear in this. So if you want me to do a review video on this box, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll fill you in on what I think of the box and what it's been holding. One of the big updates for 2019 from the 2016 to 2018 model year was the gauge package, and I love this new gauge package. So starting out, this machine has 1,822 miles on it. Shows you the temperature of, this is your engine temp. There's your clock, gives you your hours, and then it gives you battery voltage. Then you've got an A trip, a B trip, and your wrench, you can reset that. So what I do is I reset that every time I change the oil, and then that's how I keep track of how many miles I have between the oil changes. The other thing that I really like about this gauge package is the fact that it lights up white. It's really nice. The top speed on the Grizzly is 60 miles an hour, although once you hit 57, it really has to work to get that last 3. This is the electric power steering model. You've got indicators here for park, neutral, reverse. There's your high. Also shows low. And then on this side here, you've got lights. Must be those are your high beams. There is a check engine light right there. A temp light, which I'm assuming is if it's overheating, and then there's a battery light right there. I had these Moose hand warmers installed. They've also got a thumb warmer on it. I really like them. They work really good. There's more than one. There's 5 settings that you can go with on them, and to the best of my knowledge, they are exactly the same as the Heat Demon model. I believe Heat Demon made this here, and Moose just put their name on it. I think that's how that went. Could be wrong. Let me know in the comments down below. I've also got a winch on this. However, it's not a worn winch. Well, it's a 3,500 pound Kfi winch. We'll get to that when we go over the front. But the nice thing was the Warn makes a pre-wired setup for this machine. So I was able to use the Warn winch, plug it into the pre-wires in the front of the machine, and then hook the Kfi one up so that I didn't have to splice anything. You got your rear brake lever, front brake lever, and then if I remember right, the foot lever down there does just the rear brakes. I really like the Yamaha shifter. It shifts really nice, I think. You'll have to rock the machine like that and it will click into park. So you got park, reverse, neutral, high, and low. So your lights, you've got your standard off, low, and high beams, and then your engine kill switch. One thing I noticed is the lights work nice. I don't like the fact that you've got LEDs on the bottom and you have a standard bulb on the top. This machine also comes with your 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. So right now, this is in 2-wheel drive, and I click it, see it shows 4-wheel drive. Now if I want to lock the front diff, you flip this over, hit that out, and then you drive a little bit. Sorry for the rockiness, the sun, but there you can see it locks in and you're in diff lock. Then to take it out, the button, it'll go back to 4-wheel drive, flip the switch, 2-wheel drive. I'm not surprised when I ask other Grizzly owners how they like their machines and they can't stop talking about them. Its combination of power steering, great handling, and fine-tuned suspension make the Grizzly 700 one of the best overall trail machines on the market, in my opinion. The storage on the machine, these are two really big things that I like. You first all have this storage right here. It says that this compartment has a 9-pound capacity, and it's actually a pretty big compartment. You can see my hand goes all the way back here. All that room, I mean, you can fit a lot of stuff in here. Downfall to this compartment, unless it's the winter time, anything you put in this compartment here gets really hot from the engine, so you're not going to be wanting to put water or anything that's going to melt. It's really nice in the winter time because you put your gloves in there, it'll keep your gloves real warm. This storage compartment does not have a gasket around it, so it keeps the dust out and it keeps the rain out. When I say it keeps the dust out, I mean you can see you can see the inside there. You can see that it's not real. It keeps the dust out real good for me. It's not completely waterproof. It keeps the rain out, but close this up. If you take this underwater, I can almost promise you you're gonna get water in there. And if you spray the hose directly underneath here, I'm sure it will push water in, as it's just got a lip here, right here. Sorry for the focusing on this, and then it just seats in here. Second storage compartment. This here I found to be waterproof. There is a small, it's not rubber, it's kind of like a foam piece right here, gasket, sits around here, but this, I've never blown water in with the hose. I've never gotten any water in there or anything. You can kind of see how much, my hand goes in here. There again, this is a nice compartment. This is definitely the only one on the machine I say that keeps stuff dry. I keep my wallet, keys, anything in there that I don't want to get wet. Here is your third storage compartment. This storage compartment, in my opinion, it's got some serious flaws. It's nice for, it's a big compartment. I like it because I love storage. You can see I have it's a decent sized compartment. I've got some tow straps back here, some bungee cords, a lot of stuff. You can kind of see how big the compartment is. This compartment is only good for stuff that can get wet, dusty, and you're not worried about it getting ruined. I'll show you. There's nothing on here. Goes around. And then when you come down here, there's a small piece of foam, half around like this. I don't know why. So when I close this, push it up, close it, you can see this gap. Let's see, it's not focusing the best. There's this gap right here. You can see this gap goes right into the box. And look at, I mean, I can fit my finger there. I mean, that's a 1/4 inch gap. Open up here, nothing seals. I mean, Yamaha, I don't know what you guys were doing, but you got to do better than that. Right down here, it tells you your maximum load limits on the machine. It does come with a receiver hitch, so I can take the hitch right off my truck and I can put it in there, put a pin through it, and you can tow. We do have independent suspension on the machine. It works fantastic, I think. When the trails start getting bumpy, the Grizzly doesn't sweat it. I'm not saying it's as smooth riding as a Can-Am or a Polaris, but the Grizzly really is the overall perfect machine. It soaks up bumps, ruts, and jumps like no one's business. The suspension has 5-way adjustable shocks, which gives you the perfect adjustment for work or play. if you're looking for a great overall trail and work machine, the Grizzly 700 is where it's at. Now, guys, I'm not saying that this thing is faster than a Can-Am, because it's not. I come from the Honda world. I go with Suzuki's and I like Yamahas because, in my opinion, those are the 3 most reliable machines you can buy on the market. So with that being said, out of the 3, I find the Yamaha to be the smoothest riding. These are still the stock tires, 1,800 miles. There's a lot of guys that complain about these tires. I don't have a problem with them, but I'm also not doing a lot of mud riding. We don't have a lot of mud up here, so it's a lot of trail riding for me. As you can see, they're 26 by 10 12s. That was one nice thing I liked about the Yamaha, the fact that it came with 26-inch tires instead. A lot of machines come with 25s, or at least in this size down. I know some of the Can-Ams and I think the Polarises these days are starting to come with a lot bigger tires. You've got right here is how you check your oil. There's the dipstick. It just pulls out, you check it, and it just goes back in. There's no twisting or turning on it at all. Tires up front, 26 8/12s. We get under here, show you first. You can see right in there is the oil filter. I'm not going to put my hand in there, the exhaust is hot. I just changed the oil on this machine. I checked the air filter. I got to check the tires. I'm going to be ready to go riding here. Trails are about to open, hopefully May 1st. There's my Kfi Winch. See, there you can see Kfi Stealth series, came with synthetic rope. I've used it 3 times. I like it a lot. So far so good. Love the way the front end on this thing looks. I find the factory suspension settings to be the perfect setup for a plush yet stable ride. There's hardly any body roll in corners, and the machine always feels well planted and secure. The Grizzly doesn't have the typical nosedive in corners, which is something that is noticeably felt on other machines. Go around to this side of the machine. You can see in here a little bit better. Right here's your power steering, and there's the Kfi, like I said. One nice thing about the Yamaha that I really like is everything that you really need is right under here. So you lift this up, and it's all protected, you know, from the mud and everything rather well. I like it. Right here you have your battery. I believe this was the CVT intake. You've got breather hoses right here. Battery, I mean, everything is just right up here. And I think, I would have to double check, but when I told you guys about the winch, I think it was this one right here was the wire that they had pre-made. So the switch for the worn winch switch connects right here. So I just plugged it in, and then you can hook it up to the winch and you're good to go. This right here is not stock. This is a filter that I put on here. Most of you guys that with these Yamahas know that one of the flaws, in my opinion, there's 3 design flaws on this machine. If these 3 flaws would be fixed, this machine would be perfect right out of the gate. But with that being said, if you do these 3 fixes, you've got a solid, perfect machine that should run a very long time problem-free. This is one of them. This is the breather hose coming onto the gas tank. So I ran this hose up here and I put this filter on it just to make sure nothing got down in there. I read online, a lot of guys were doing stuff like that, so I did it. It's working great. Go under the seat. This is it right here. This is the breather, and what it did is it ran down, they ran it right down here. They ran it and it would come out right, about here. I can't see too well. It would come out right underneath the diff, or it's on the front side of the diff, and it would sit right above the skid plate. So what would happen is if you went in deep water, and deep as in over the skid plate, the machine would eventually, it could sit there and I never had it happen to me. I did have it start to sputter one time, and I was only in floorboard deep water. So I was reading online, and sure enough, what the guys are saying is what would happen is the water would, I think it made like a vacuum, and it would suck that water up into the fuel tank. The machine would kill anyways, and you're stuck there stranded. So I did that fix, and I've not had any issues other than that. Like I said, that one time before I did it, it started to sputter, and I think that it maybe created a vacuum there where it wasn't letting it breathe, and that was the start. So lucky for me, you know, I'm not in deep water, I didn't have an issue. The second thing is the airbox design. Now, I have the EHS airbox mod on here, but I went with a foam filter. The stock airbox, it's hard to explain. I didn't understand it myself until I actually looked at it, but the stock airbox, it lets dirt into the engine. And then right here is the tool pack that they come with. Tire gauge, and let's see, a few simple tools to, looks like this is for your spark plug. Never used these, you can see, got a couple wrenches and a screwdriver. And then of course you've got, right here's your gas tank. I can't remember for sure, I don't remember if this has a 4-gallon or a 4.5-gallon tank on it. What I do know is when I go trail riding, my trail riding is usually somewhere between 25-30 miles an hour. I can get, I think I figured it out to be about 110 miles to a tank is what I'm figuring. I've never actually ran it empty. When it comes to power, the Grizzly isn't lacking any. It has plenty of power to tackle any trail obstacle you may come across. Its low-end torque, made it to the industry's best belt transmission, will get you from point A to point B every time, and it makes the Grizzly a lot of fun to ride. For woods trail riding, you will have no problem keeping up with any other machine in its class. When it comes to engine braking, the Grizzly's Ultramatic transmission does a pretty good job of keeping this machine under control and you safe while descending down those big hills. When you get into the stickier situations and you need more control, just put the transmission in the low range and you can crawl down most hill with great control. I know there's a lot of people that I've heard complaining about this front piece here blowing off in transportation. For whatever the reason, when they back the machine onto the truck, so they're driving down the highway 70 miles an hour with the machine backwards. You can see it's only got those clips that hold it on there. So you can, one would only imagine going 70 miles an hour, you've got enough wind going through here, blow this off. They'll get to their destination and it'll be gone. So I would recommend you hauling this thing facing forward. If you do that, you shouldn't have any issues. I've not had a single issue with this machine. The only grievance I have is you can see the shaft right there. That's the front drive shaft going into the engine. It looks like it's full of grease. When I first bought this, I took it in and the dealer told me it was still under warranty. So I took it in and the dealer cleaned it up and they drove it around for, I don't know, I mean, they said they drove it around for a while and it never started to get dirty. And of course, I put another like 200 miles on it and there it's doing it again, but the dealer is hour drive from my house. I figured I'd go with it. I think it's just grease, it's not oil. It's back, so it's something I'm gonna keep an eye on. Outside of that, everything about this machine, I just absolutely love. I love the setup. I love the way it looks. The gauge cluster, everything. This is by far my favorite machine that I've had. I've had a few. My last one was a 2015 Honda Rubicon 500. I had a 2007 Can-Am Outlander 400. It was extremely fun. It just was not reliable at all, and I've got real strict reliability standards. We've got closed seasoned up here where we're only able to ride for 6-7 months out of the year. So if I'm spending more time fixing my machine than I'm riding it, I'm not happy about that. I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. Let me know if you've got any comments, questions down below. I'm more than happy to answer them. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.